Everybody, welcome to Mindset, Motivation, and Mastery, and welcome to 2021. So listen, we took a break for kind of the month of December for Mindset, Motivation, and Mastery, and we're going to kind of get back to our routine of jumping on here and sharing a few things. Now, last year we did all interviews. This year we're going to be changing it up a little bit. I'm going to be doing some kind of one-on-one training. And then we're also going to be kind of throwing some interviews in there as well. So for this week and this week only, so that I can, again, give you some motivation, inspiration to jump into 2021 and be all in. I'm going to jump on here. I'm probably every day this week. So 5 times this week, starting today. And I'm going to give you a little message. So today's message is 8 things you need to do to launch into 2021. See, listen, 2020 was a changing year. And here's the truth. We're never, ever going to go back to 100% back to the way it was. So those, agents or those people standing on the sideline and just waiting for things to go back to normal, or waiting for things to, adapt and change, in the way that we used to do it, it's just never going to happen. So last year was a time for us to just start adapting, for us to start looking at, looking at what we got to do, getting into some changed behaviors, looking at how we're doing business, looking at what we need to do next from a business perspective. And this year, it's about really launching into that and making that a part of our normal routine. Because like I said, we're never going to go back to the way it was, and things aren't going to change a whole bunch. So welcome to 2021. Welcome to a new year. And listen, let's start off the new year in a way that's going to make us not just hit our goals, but smash our goals this year. And so right now, I want you to start looking at kind of the things that you need to do. We've obviously been working on business planning, or, if you work with me or whatever your company is, whatever, we've done business planning, it's all there. But here's the deal. You show up right now the same way you showed up last year, you're probably going to get the same results. Matter of fact, you may even get less results if you're resisting to the change of the way that we do business. So don't resist. Get into really looking at what you learned last year and really launching in that. Really recognize that if you're going to hit your new goals in 2021, what is it that you got to do? How do you, what is it that you got to change? How is it that you got to show up? So I'm going to share with you right now just 8 things you need to launch into 2021. Let me see here. There we go. Look at me. So again, let's start off talking about, let me just get to the slide I want to get to. There we go. So here's the deal. Number one, we got to start off with a strong morning routine. So if you don't have a strong morning routine, I'm going to ask you to sit back today and go, man, what does my strong morning routine look like? Number one is, are we getting up at the same time every morning? Like, are we getting up every morning at the exact same time, ready to launch today? Are you getting dressed for success? Are you reading or listening to something uplifting, something that's going to kind of, bring you up, get you motivated? Are you, practicing daily gratitude? Or maybe visualization, right? Maybe positive self-talk, right? So again, positive self-talk is just, speaking your future into yourself right now. Ultimately, you need to get moving. So do you have some sort of exercise routine that you get up and do in the morning? There people go, oh, I'm more of a night person. Here's the deal. You are the person that you create. So, when people go, oh, I'm a night owl, or I'm better in the night. Here's the deal. If you don't get up and start your day early and get ready to kill it, then there's a good chance your day is going to slip away from you. So stop telling yourselves the story that, oh, I'm better in the evening. So listen, we need to get blood flowing. We need to get our mind right. And we want to make sure that we're starting the day in a strong, positive way. So what's your morning routine like? Start creating some consistency around that. Number 2, set daily and weekly goals, right? We've set these big goals and we tend to take our business plan and then we throw it aside, and then we start showing up the exact same way that we've always shown up. And then we expect these different results. And here's the reality. We aren't going to get these different results unless we do something different. And if we take our big goal, sometimes it's so big that it's so overwhelming that we don't even know where to start. So what I want you to do is really break it down into short-term goals versus your long-term goal, right? Short-term goals that are achievable, right? How many phone calls am I making? How many contacts? How many appointments do I need to go on kind of this week or today? And if we set small incremental goals, we will blow ourselves out of the water by the end of the year from our goal perspective, right? So it's about setting daily and weekly goals that we can realistically hit. Number 3, commit to your daily schedule. So we create these schedules. And again, if you work with me, you work on a lot on, we work a lot on creating a schedule that aligns and works for you, right? But here's the thing. Most of us don't submit to it, right? I always say, hey, it's not about committing to your schedule. It's not about having a schedule. It's really about submitting to it. It's really about really following it and getting into that. And we can do so much more if we just put everything in our daily schedule and we follow it and we jump into that, right? So it's time management versus task management. Time management versus task management. So, we have to look at what it is that we have to get done and how long is it going to take, and then block that in our schedules that we're daily, that we're getting all of that done on a consistent basis so that it doesn't build up, right? And we tend to procrastinate. We tend to put things off that we know that needs to be done. And because we do that, ultimately it builds up until it's this huge thing and we don't get anything done. So if you do it daily, and you knock all that stuff out daily, it's the easiest thing to move forward. Do your hardest task first, right? We're going to talk here in a few seconds about lead generation. And like that, typically people go, oh, that's the hardest. Well, just get it done. It's, there's a book called, I think, Eat That Frog. And it's, ultimately doing the hardest task first when you've got the energy, when you've got the ability to get it done. Right. So focus on income producing activities. Ultimately, you're working to make money. So make sure that you're focusing on income producing activities. Like we know what that is. That's writing contracts, right? So we have to go on more appointments to write more contracts. We don't have the appointments. We need to make more calls to make more appointments, to go on more, to write more contracts, right? So I don't care even what business you're in. Ultimately, you've got to get out in front of people somehow to do more business. Right. So again, focus on income producing activities. Make sure that that's in your daily schedule. Right. Leave time in your daily schedule to get stuff done. Right. When we procrastinate on stuff where we don't put it in our schedule and it builds up, then we feel that we're behind and then we just don't get it done. So put time in your schedule to work on current business, to work on things that you need to make sure that you get done. If it's in your schedule and you submit to that schedule, then ultimately you'll get a lot of that stuff done. Right. And then schedule times in advance. Right. One of the things that I think that you should be doing is really looking at it. And I know that, when I was going on a lot of appointments, I already had those preset in my schedule. And then when I would make my phone calls, it was, instead of going, hey, when are you available? It was very easy for me to look and go, hey, are you available here, here, or here? I knew that if I submitted to my schedule, I did 20 appointments a week. Can you imagine if you went on 20 appointments a week? Right, 20 appointments a week now. So here's the truth. Did I go on 20 appointments a week, a whole bunch? No, not realistically. I didn't go on it 20, listing appointments or buyer appointments, very often. But what it did is it really allowed me to show my gaps in my schedule for me to get all this stuff done and for me to make, be able to, look at when I'm available and how do I get more into the same time that we have? Because ultimately we all have the same amount of time. All right. Number 4, daily hour of lead generation. We call that daily hour of power. In the Tom Ferry world, ultimately, it's, spending 1 hour on your business, right? Really jumping into, setting appointments, right? So it's spending, 1 hour, and our outcome goal of that is going to be how many appointments can we set? So when we look at number 2, which is daily, weekly goals, Our lead gen time is about setting appointments. And if we avoid doing that, we're avoiding setting appointments. And if we're avoiding setting appointments, we're avoiding writing contracts. And nobody wants to avoid writing contracts. So if you do a little bit of lead generation every day, I'm just asking for an hour. Like, I think if you put legit an hour in every single day, you'll have more appointments than you'll ever need. So make sure that you're doing that, right? Create a call sheet. Right? Create a call sheet, write it out, right? Be sure that you're covering all of your lead sources, right? So you look at all the lead sources and say, man, am I covering all the lead sources in my daily lead gen time? Which means if you're doing expireds, FSBOs, I don't care what you're doing, your sphere of influence. We're going to talk about that because that's the most important lead source you have. Am I doing those calls every single day? Know your scripts, right? Practice, role play. If you're in the Tom Ferry world, go into our Facebook pages and ultimately find a role play partner. If you're in your office, just, man, call somebody up and say, hey, I want to role play. Everybody wants to get better. Force somebody to role play with you, right? Role play, I hated role play, super hated it, right? Until I did it enough that I began to love it. And I love it now because ultimately it's about getting better. And I'd rather practice on somebody, other than our clients. So, role play, know what you're going to say. Everything that you're going to say is a script, and either you practice what works or you practice your own. Now, if your own is working, perfect. But if not, right, if you're not setting enough appointments, practice scripts that work and role play that with somebody. And the last thing is track your numbers. You're going to really appreciate you tracking your numbers, over time, because you're going to be able to look back and go, man, I know I need to call this many FSBOs. I know I need to call this many expireds. I know I need to make this many calls in order to get this many appointments. And you're tracking your numbers, it is going to be a blessing. And yes, it's hard at first. Just set up some sort of system that allows you to track your numbers. Again, let's go into number 5, market and message research, right? The truth versus the stories we hear or tell ourselves, right? Like 2020 was full of amazing stories of how COVID was going to destroy our business, or how, this was happening, or the election was bad. Or like, man, we told ourselves so many stories last year about why business was going to get bad. And listen, it was our best year ever across the board. Like, I'm going to say across the board. I'm in Canada, the US. I coach a lot of people around North America, but it was a strong, powerful year in most places. But you should have heard the stories that I heard of how it's going to be bad and what do I got to do, and I'm panicking and I'm freaking out, blah blah blah. Ultimately, make sure you're telling yourself the right story, right? Do the research, right? Get a really clear understanding of your market and overcome those limiting beliefs. Because here's the truth: as long as you overcome those limiting beliefs, then you will share the right stories with your clients, right? Because your clients, they're freaking out a bit, right? So if you know and you become the knowledge broker in your area, then guess what? You can tell people the right stories, right? So create those stories on facts and go look at your facts and become the market expert, because everybody wants to hire the market expert. Number 6, your digital marketing daily plan, right? In today's world, we've got, Facebook, still a super powerful tool. Instagram, I don't care, like LinkedIn, whatever you're using. I don't care if it's TikTok. We have agents that are killing it on TikTok. Here's the deal. I don't care what it is, but what I know to be true is it's consistency and it's over time that you're going to, get better results. So what is your daily marketing plan? For me, and for what I teach, is I say, hey, you should be at least, 10 likes, 5 comments, 1 personal message, and a minimum of 1 post, right? So get into that daily routine of, I'm going to go out and like 10 people's, posts. I'm going to comment, and you're commenting in a way to get reaction. And I'm going to send 1 private message. If you're doing that, like, just think of that over time. In a week, if you're doing it 5 days a week, you're doing at least 50 likes. Now, don't just go like your brother or your sister or your best friend's post over and over again and think that that's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is be very clear on going out and liking somebody's posts that you want to be in business with, or that you want to build a relationship with, right? Commenting on their stuff in hopes that they're going to comment back. And when we look at the compound effect of that, you're ultimately going to be connecting with a lot of people. And if you do it daily, then again, over time, you've done it to a ton of people. And here's the deal. Your name pops up instantly when you like somebody, or instantly when you make a comment, or when you're in conversation. And man, there's no better way than to get your name to pop up in front of people so they start recognizing you than simply just going on and getting engaged with people online. Make sure you're doing video, right? I mean, ultimately, we know, and Tom has been pushing video for years, and we want to make sure that you're doing video from an exposure perspective and to get out there. All right, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. So, the next thing is our database marketing. I don't care who you are. I've been coaching, and I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of coaching calls, and worked with a lot of different clients on all levels of the business. Their number one resource, or their number one lead source, is always people they know. It's always people that they know. It's always their database, their sphere of influence, their past clients, all of that. So if every day you're not doing something to connect with that group of people, then you're making a huge mistake, right? You're making a huge mistake. So, you want to make sure that you're setting up something that's easy to set it and forget it. So like that could be email campaigns, right? I'll tell you, in today's world, what's one of the things that a lot of Tom Ferry clients are getting great engagement in is video text messages, right? Create a target group in Facebook of this group so that you can directly advertise or market to these people, right? In your lead gen time, pick up the thing called the phone, right? And connect with people by phone. That's still one of the most powerful ways that we could do it. But just think that if you're actually picking up the phone and calling them, and you're engaging them on social media, part of your digital marketing plan, right? And again, you're doing all of that over time. You are showing, like doing videos on Facebook to show that you're the market expert. Who do you think they're going to think of when it comes to real estate? Who do you think they're going to call? Who are they going to, when someone says to them, who knows the area the best, who do you think they're going to look at? And it's going to be you, because you're doing it consistently. So I want you going into 2021 to look at all of these 8 things to make sure you're doing them consistently. And here's number 8. You guys have spent hopefully the last 2 weeks in recovery mode. And I always say that rest and recovery is as important as jumping into action. It's as important as jumping into action, because if we don't recover, you look at Olympic athletes, I've interviewed I was in the sports world for a bit, and here's the thing. In Olympic athletes, their coaches focus more on rest and recovery than they actually focus on exercising, right? Because, most Olympic athletes love what they do, right? So they're out there and they're working, and they love their sport. And so many coaches have a problem with burnout, where their athletes get burnt out. And some of you coming into the end of this year, and I know because I got text messages from you going, hey man, I burnt out. I was burnt out. And being burnt out just means that you were really working your butt off. So congratulations on that, which is why a lot of you had such a great year. But here's the thing. We're in quarter 1 this year. We're at the beginning of the race. And I want to make sure that you go all the way through this year. And the best way for you to go all the way through this year is spend time doing something that you enjoy. So whether that's family time, whether that's, a hobby, whether that's whatever that is for you, make sure that you're spending and you're taking time to do that stuff, right? Because we want you to focus on something that drives you outside of your business. Like we spend a lot of time talking about our big whys in business. And here's, a lot of people's big why isn't, oh, my big why is to sell so many homes. It's usually tied to something outside of that. Spend time there. If you know me, you know that I have 3 boys, and my wife and I spend a lot of time working, doing fun stuff with them, because that's something that really drives me. You also know that I run a nonprofit animal rescue in Florida. I spend a lot of time there because that's something that drives me, right? So again, that's recovery time for me. So spend time doing something that you enjoy. All right, guys, listen, we're just entering quarter 1 right now. And, a lot of us, kind of are at the beginning of the race going, oh man, our numbers are at 0 again, and we're just starting this. And just like I would tell you if you're running a marathon, I want you to start and I want you to pace yourself. And by pace yourself, I mean that, man, we need to get into these 8 things consistently. And if you create consistency over these 8 things in a long-term plan, you're going to kill it. You're going to kill it this year. But here's the deal. If you put this off and you procrastinate and you just show up doing what you're doing, or you're showing up right now going, hey, I'm just going to work on my marketing stuff right now because I'm going to change what I'm doing in 2021, then you're going to lose. Because I can tell you, if you are behind your goals in Q1, there's a really big chance, if you don't change something, that you're going to end the year behind your goals. If I look at all of the thousands of clients and the calls I've done, the clients that have killed it in Q1 tend to be ahead of their goal going into Q4. And I want that for all of you. I want you to head into Q4 killing it. All right, guys, I'm going to jump on here for the next few days. Just going to share a quick message over this week just to kind of get you launched into 2021. Get your mind up here. Like, your mind is what's going to get you to that next level, right? Your mind and getting you into the right action. So have a powerful week, and I will chat with you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to Mindset, Motivation, and Mastery.